actually start. What does it say? And I think we're live, Daniel. Let's see if we're live. Welcome everyone to this first customer journey mapping Q&A, as we call it. Maybe I will come up with a different title, but I think we're live. If you're watching and you're seeing me and Daniel, I think I'm hearing myself, Daniel. Is that correct? Welcome everyone to this. Yeah, I'm seeing. Journey mapping Q&A. You need to put your phone on silent.
So it's fixed.
Yeah, is it running? Are we live? Can you see us? I think so, right? Yeah, I'm here. Awesome. Daniel, it's the first time we're doing this, so we need to figure out the tech stuff a little bit. But we're on YouTube. We're live. And
cool.
We're going to talk about some of the questions we got. Yeah, it's on silent. Some of the questions we got through the students who are following the perfect map, the course that we've been running for the last 2 or 3 months. And shall we just dive in? And for the people who are in the chat, welcome. That's nice to have you here. We're going to talk, I think we'll try to talk for like 30 minutes to this session. Don't make it too long because we know you have to work on Friday. And we've selected a few questions. Daniel, shall we just start with the first one?
Yeah, let's start.
So here's the first question. Let's see if we can get it up on the screen. We should be able to do so. Let's see where it is. It's always... it should be somewhere over here. This one, and then where did they? Yeah. Oh, the notes. And now we go back to full screen. I think there we go. This question, we got this question from Gabrielle, and she said, what are the right people for my mapping group? How big should the group be? What are the criteria to decide who is a member and who is a stakeholder? Yeah, so this is really about the team.
That's a really good question. I think excellent question, and also, yeah, this on the question like this is not one answer, and that's usually the case with good questions. So it's more about understanding the situation here. But I think that there's a few cornerstones to stick to when it comes to deciding who should be in the team. I think that think of people internally that can't meet their targets without this customer journey mapping work. So those should either be stakeholders, and if they have a little bit more time and can be working on a day-to-day basis, they should be in the team. Otherwise, they should be in a decision group. I think it's really good to divide in a project group and a decision group. And the team shouldn't be too big. I mean, 3 people, maximum 10, I would say, not more than that.
Yeah, so the criteria are, for instance, they should be directly involved, have mandate. How would you, if you have to create a team that works on a customer journey map, how would you select the people who you're going to involve?
I would select people that can influence or have mandate, or it's connected to their own goals, or for all the different parts that are needed for the implementation later on. I would choose those people to be in the team. And what I very often see, the mistake that people do is that they think of documenting and visualization and analyzing part of the customer journey work. They don't think of the implementation part, where I think that people that need to be in the team to be able to roll things out should be in the team as well.
So how do you convince somebody who's not part of the sort of first phase of the customer journey mapping, people from IT, people from finance, who sort of feel that there's a big distance between them and the customer? How do you get them on board in this early stage while we're still mapping and not implementing?
I think it's about getting them to understand how influenced they will be out of this. But I think particularly for the IT people, they are struggling with solving real customer-focused needs today, and it's a big pressure on IT to be working with the real business and the real questions about the offering, and the IT people are usually a part of the process, connected to the processes, because IT comes out of processes, and the process has to be connected to the customer. So I think it's kind of a storytelling there to get them convinced. But then maybe we can't expect IT or legal or those people to be in the group in the first case, but maybe they should be there and don't go to the first meetings. But they should feel that they are in this group.
Makes sense. For the people who just joined in the chat, welcome. Cool that you're watching. Curious where you are in the world. Let us know. Say hi in the chat. And if you have any questions about customer journey mapping, feel free to ask them. We're here to help you out. So, Daniel, let's move on to the second question. And let's see if I can get it up here. Second question. There we go. Here it is. Interesting. Why are we not including the customer in the team? So in the team that is going to create the customer journey map.
That's a really good idea to start with, to include the customer in the team. And I've tried that. I've tried it several times, and I have come to the conclusion that we are not really doing a customer journey. We are doing the least common customer journey for several customers. It's actually that customer journey we are doing. So if we include 1, 2, 3, 4 people in the team, we are doing their customer journey. So it means that we have to do a job as people working with this, understanding 10,000 customers, the similarities in 10,000 customers' journeys. And when I've tried to include customers in the actual team, it doesn't become for those 10,000 people, it becomes those 3 people's customer journey. But I've successfully done this when it comes to B2B, where maybe the customer, there are not that many customers, there's just a few customers, and it may be really good to keep them tight in this group. I succeeded there, but not when it comes to offers that target many customers, and they are somehow different, like similar, but we have to find least common factors here.
Yeah, so it's always good to involve the customer, but maybe in this case, in a stage where once you have sort of the outline of the journey and get customers to enrich it, get feedback on it, ask for differences, that might be a more valuable stage to actually involve people.
Yeah, I think so. Taking a customer journey map and sharing it, which we have created based on several customers' inputs, and then take that back to customers and talking to them. Was this your journey? Was this a way? What are your insights in different stages, etc., or thoughts, needs, or feelings? That's really good, and that's super smart. But we have to understand that each customer's comment is their customer's comment. It's not the overall picture. We always have to have that in mind.
Yeah. So awesome. We're getting comments from Alvaro, who's in Spain. Hey, Alvaro, nice that you're here. And Jean, cloudy day in Derby. Yeah, it's quite cloudy here in Utrecht as well, but I think
it's sunny in Stockholm.
You've got the sun that we should be having.
Yeah, we deserve that. We had clouds for 4 months.
Good to start the day with some journey mapping insights. Thanks for hosting. Yeah, thanks. Nice that you're here, Gene. Let's move on, Daniel. We have a few more questions. So, next question is: I work in a small company, and this is a question by Chris, by the way. I work in a small company, and there are some people that shout louder than the rest. Should you invite those people in your team, or should you look for a better balance? I think we all recognize this. How do you deal with this situation, Daniel?
You have to look for a better balance in the team. You can't have those people that shout out loudest. And then it depends a little bit about, are those people, if those people that are shouting, are they on your side or not on your side? That's kind of an aspect to care about as well. So I think that the answer to this question is try to keep a good balance, because you need a team that works and not a lot of people that shout out too loud. And then there's another angle on this question, and that is that you have to identify people that could be skeptical about this and maybe will don't believe in it and try to destroy it or try to confuse things later on. So you it's good to handle them now. So maybe it's a good idea to include them and make them their baby as well. Yeah,
because especially what you were saying, the people who are skeptics, they are usually quiet in the beginning, they will speak up later when the project has advanced to a stage where you don't want to turn back. So the people who are quiet, you should suspect them to involve them first, like at least know where they stand, right?
I used to call them sharks. I think it's quite good. They're just sharks that swimming around there, not really acting, but you could feel them somehow. But when it comes to people that shout out, I mean, people that shout out loud could be super engaged as well, and they could be good sellers because they're not afraid to speak up. So it really depends on those. But I think that going back to the basic question here, try to get a good balance.
Yeah, and a better balance. So giving the people who shout, giving them the respect they deserve in the process, but not giving them such a prominent role that they can take over the process, right?
Yeah. Then it could be then it's maybe not a customer journey or a customer-centric project. It's maybe a social experiment to handle those people. And of course, that's always the case when we're working in projects, but we should try to focus on what we're trying to do here.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so again, for the people who joined in for the live session, if you have any questions and if you have any struggles with customer journey mapping, just ask. We're here again doing this live to answer your questions also. And if you're wondering, where are these questions coming from? These are from actual students going through the Perfect Map course. And if you're interested in that, you can probably find the link below the video. And if not, I'll add it later. Let's move on to the next question, because
I see a really good comment there from Steven. Invite people that would not expect to be invited. Yeah, good. Definitely.
Yeah, I think I can actually show it. Let's see. We're experimenting with tech the first time. Yeah, look at this. Steven says, invite people that should not expect to be invited. Yeah, that's really good. Good.
I agree. And I can really see in what cases we have succeeded doing that. People can really grow just by being invited. I think that if we there are kind of two kind of people. One kind of people internally that on every problem that occurs, they have a solution. And they sit in the meeting and they immediately have the solution, like just shooting from that's the solution here. It's done, and they have all the answers. I think those people have really made good career and have been very lifted by managers. I think now it's time for the people that have more empathy. They have more questions. They don't have the solutions all the time, but they have the questions about why does it really have to work this way, and with empathy try to solve that. And what Steven says is, I think, try to find those people also, or my point of view on that is to find those people as well, not the solution people, but the question people.
Find the question people, not the solution people. Yeah, critical thinking, that's really helpful. Yeah, cool. And we're focusing a bit on teams, and that is because the first lesson or chapter in the course is about teams. Before you can actually start customer journey mapping, or before you should start customer journey mapping, thinking about teams is really important for the long-term success. And the other thing that is really important for long-term success, and I think that's the next question. Let's see. The next question is, this is still about team. So let's do this one as well. Should I answer these questions by my own, or should I involve the CEO who has ordered this project? I think I don't have enough strategic view or knowledge from my organization. And this is a question by Beatrice. So should we invite top level management, Daniel, because they have influence, they have mandate, or is it better to keep them out of the room in this stage?
No, I think it's really good to engage them. I think it's really good to go to the right level in the organization where you could get those answers. And I think that is kind of a success factor as well, to do that. I've been in several projects where we needed to lift this up on such a high level, because nobody could really answer those questions, and nobody didn't really have mandate to make decisions. And that was really a success factor for the project, that we had to take it up to the C level in the organization. Because what happens usually is that everybody in the organization want their question to be on the C level, but most of the questions have been pushed down in the organization. But here's a question when it comes to customer experience that really should be on the C level, and the questions can't be answered lower down. So really go where you could get those answers, and it will help you in implementing this. And I think it's really good for experienced people to go around and really connect experience to KPIs on different levels in the organization.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so usually it's hard to involve and engage people on the C level, but if you can, that's really good. And you can also explain, like you just said, why their involvement will help the project on the short term, but also in the long term, right?
Yeah, but everybody wants them to be involved. So I think the important thing here is to go to them with a question saying that this question is on your level. We can't answer this question because it hadn't been delegated down in the organization. So I need you. I have to borrow your mandate to take, and then they have to be engaged. So they won't be engaged just because you ask for it, because everybody asks for the C people to come to the important meeting and presentations and everything. They have to be there where their mandate is needed.
Yes.
So we have kind of rigged that. I would say in my career of 20 years of working with it, we have rigged that sometimes to have an excuse to go to the C-level with important questions to get them involved.
So in order to get them involved, make sure you have a question that actually needs their input. Not just, do you want to be involved in our customer journey mapping project? No, we need you to be involved to answer this specific question, right?
Yeah, this specific question, and also that you won't reach your goals without making a decision in this question or helping us out here.
Yeah, makes sense. So, okay, let's see. We have 2 questions in the chat. Jean is asking, one thing we struggle with is defining the start and end point when making a map. What is your advice? That is actually one of the things we talk about in the course, literally. Maybe you can say a little bit about that, Daniel. And if you want to know more about that, Jean, there's more in the course.
When journey mapping professionally, I would say that it's very important to not define the endpoints and then doing the things in between. It's very important to start from the middle and then work out in the both directions. And then you will understand how deep research do you have to know how far you could go, and how far do you need to go. I think that really more defines the start and ending points here. So let's say the starting point could be this need occurs for the customer. That's good enough to have it in the need occurs. Why do we have to go further on? This need occurs because that happened. So, but I think the important thing here is to don't start to define ending points, start and end, and do the things between. Start from the middle, work your way out.
Yeah.
And if you don't really understand the start and ending, maybe you have to do more deeper customer research. Exactly.
Start in the middle instead of the start and end.
Yes.
I hope that was helpful, Jean. Let us know. I see more and more people joining in. Say hi and let us know where you're from. Also, feel free to ask your questions regarding customer journey mapping. We're doing this live. We're here for you. The questions we're talking about are mostly based on the questions from the people taking the Perfect Map course, but also we want to help you answer your own questions. Daniel, we have a few more, so let's continue in the slides that we have here. So this is a question by Margot, and she said, how do you get good KPIs related to the customer journey, especially within the government, where there might not be hard business KPIs? I don't know. What's your experience?
KPIs, whether it's in organizations doing profit or governmental or something, it doesn't matter. It's always about what's the purpose of this organization. So we have to go back to the purpose in a governmental organization as well. And the interesting thing with KPIs in public sector is that there's usually no income. There are no earnings. There are just spendings. But there are other, let's say, earnings that maybe we don't think of. It could be earnings connected to trust. How do people trust this public organization or not? And trust, if it's bigger governmental organizations, trust will go down on the will to pay tax, the will to vote. I mean, very democratic fundamentals. That is one part of the KPIs that, which I think it's important to look at. And then we have, because of the nature of public sector organizations, it's all about costs. So then we have to go deeper on the cost level. I mean, costs to serve. If we have bad experience, we will have unhappy employees, and it costs a lot when they leave us, and we have to educate new ones. So getting good governmental KPIs is going back to the purpose of this organization, and then try to break those things down. And don't look at business KPIs because, as this question is asked, I mean, definitely you can't look at those because they are not relevant.
Yeah. And then Stephen says in the comments, like, if there are no KPIs, create them. I think that's a really good comment. And also, every organization, like you said, has KPIs. They might not be related to profit. They might be related to costs or trust or social. But every organization has KPIs or something that they are measuring. That's also a good question. Like, what's the thing you're measuring? That's usually a good starting point to figure out what the important KPIs are, right?
Yeah, and I think what Steven says is that, I mean, if there are no create one, there are always KPIs. But I think the important thing is here to connect those KPIs to customer experience. And if you can't do that, don't work with any journeys or customer centricity or anything if you can't connect them. So
exactly.
That's more the challenge to connect existing KPIs to the experience.
Yeah, that's what we also talk about in the course. If you you can find KPIs, but if they are not connected in any way to the user, ignore them. You need to find KPIs that are connected to the actual users, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly.
Hope that makes sense, Margot. Let us know. Moving on. Again, hi everyone. Ask questions in the chat. Engage in the chat. It's nice for me and Daniel to know that we're not the only ones here. There are a lot of people in, so that's great. Next question. Let's see. What do we have? A question by Anna. She says, how do you prepare, or how do I prepare my team before the workshop, a custom journey mapping workshop? What kind of homework should I give them? Customer journey mapping is a lot about co-creation, workshops, sessions. So Daniel, what is your experience? How do you prepare people for that?
I think it's good to give them kind of a homework or a kind of heads up or something in before to think about journeys. It could be simple things that buying a coffee or going to the cinema or something. What are your journey there? Or when people came to this session, what did you experience? What were your journey coming here? I also think it's good to maybe prepare people on good journeys and bad journeys. Can you bring on some examples from your own life? I also think it's good to ask people to not think that they are coming with solutions. Because I think usually that's a problem in many workshops, that people think that they have a lot of ideas and now they have the chance to give those ideas. That's why I think it's really good to always start all workshops with a kind of a parking lot for ideas. That write all the good ideas that you have brought with you, and then we put them up here so we could just leave them and go on. Because maybe those ideas are excellent in the future, but we have to do the work first and then bring on the ideas. But I also think it's good for people to think connected to the KPIs, the goals. What are the goals, the important goals this year, this quarter? I think that's good. It's a good starting point.
When we do customer journey mapping workshops, we sort of always make people do homework or give homework assignments, and it has two reasons why. You actually can start doing research. You actually can get data out of it that you can use in the session. And the other thing that happens, like you already mentioned, is you're getting people in the mindset of the journey already. So you can move much quicker through the session because people are already a little bit aligned and know what they will be talking about. So getting people in the mindset and sort of doing research at the same time. I would always recommend to give some kind of homework.
I think there is I totally agree. I think there is another thing that people sometimes forget with workshops, and that is that when people disappears a day from a team or something in the organization, they need a good story for their colleagues to explain why did they go there. And I think usually that people inviting to this workshop, they don't think about that. They don't understand that this is marketing of what we are doing, to give them a really good story. Why am I away a day here?
Yeah,
and that's a really good tip.
Yeah. So give them a good story. Give them an excuse.
Yeah, we're going to create the world's best customer experience here, and I'm going to be participating there one day to do that. So that's what I'm doing tomorrow.
Yeah, that's a good tip. We have never thought of that, actually. Cool. We're getting a question from Alvaro. Let's get it up on the screen here. Alvaro is asking, how would you get users to participate in the research of the journey mapping when you are conducting an independent project with not much budget? So it depends if you consider users as actual customers, patients, students, or users in the, like your colleagues. I'll give my perspective first, and then I'm curious what you're going to say, Daniel. My perspective is that people are sort of customers are sort of usually eager to share their stories, their experiences, if you just genuinely listen and ask questions that are about them, not about the company. So we almost never have like a financial compensation when we invite people to give us input, but we just make sure that the conversation that we're having for the research is about them and understanding their life, rather than that they feel that we are sort of sucking answers out of them for our benefit. What do you think, Daniel? What would your comment be?
I agree, but I definitely see the problem that Alvaro is why he asks this question, because I think what you say, Mark, that is already in the session when talking to those people and getting them engaged. It's people are so used to customer surveys that just ask dumb questions, and it has nothing to do with the customer's real thoughts or real pains or whatever it could be. So people are so used to that, and they know that companies, organizations come up with 5 stupid questions, and then they ask 10,000 people if they agree on those 5 stupid questions or not. So people usually don't want to engage. So I think that what you say, Mark, is really important, that now it's your chance to really tell us what you think. Another thing here is that we have to understand what people will engage. I mean, we have kind of extrovert and introvert persons, and I've seen over the years that it's only, of course, the extrovert person we will engage, and those are kind of 50% of the population. And then the other people that will, if we divide those even more, then we have people that love the company. They will engage because they see an opportunity to share this and tell this. We have people that hate the organization, and they really see an opportunity here to tell us why they hate us. So we could find those two, because here we have a lot of strong driving forces, or they are very they have engagement, but we have to always know, why are you participating? I think that's an important question when engaging those people. But I don't think, another thing that's connected to this question, I don't think that if it's not very particular industries like doctors, you can never talk to doctors, medical doctors, without giving them to pay them something, because they're so used to that. But in most cases, we shouldn't tell them that you will get some kind of of money or reward or something, because then they are not really helping us out. They just want their cinema tickets or whatever it could be.
Yeah, the incentive should be because people want to share their story, not because they are getting a financial compensation, right?
Yes, okay. but there maybe their incentive could be in this case that we could find people that have been, maybe they have a bad experience or they had a really good experience. We really helped them out. So maybe look in those two corners for people that love us or hate us.
Okay, I hope that helped, Alvaro. If not, we'll be here after one more question to answer the other questions. And Jason, I saw your question. We'll get back to that after one more, because we have one final question from a student who's in the Perfect Map course, and that's Jeff. And Jeff asked this: how to really define the rate between assumption-based and evidence-based research data. Daniel, what is your first reaction to this?
I say that with all those questions, there's not one answer that answers the whole question. I mean, the first step is to understand the output of the journey and the insights that we do. That what investments will the output result in? If we are going to change a lot of IT, for instance, it would take us 2 years and cost us so much money. Then, of course, we can't make just everything assumption-based. But if we do something that's just a few people involved in delivering this, and we could do something and change it tomorrow and change it again, then of course it could be assumption-based, because we could try it over and over again. So I would say that is one take on this question, that depending on how costly will the solutions be out of this outcome, it should be more and more evidence-based.
That makes a lot of sense. Yeah. So.
And then there's other ways to see this. I mean, it depends on how much resource do you have, how much money do you have, and it's always better to do very little customer evidence-based research than nothing. But if you have, and it's very unusual, of course, that you have endless with money, then you do a lot of research then. And then I would say it depends on the internal culture, because at some point evidence will be needed. Otherwise, people won't believe in the result. So if you have too much assumption-based inputs, at a certain point, depending on the culture internally, people will say, no, we don't believe in this, because, let me take an example. Sweden is a very long country. And if you do research in the southern part of the Sweden, people will come to, let's say, for a bank or something. At a certain point, you won't be able to implement this, because people will say, you haven't met any customer in the northern part of the Sweden, because you have always only talked to people in the southern part of the Sweden. And then, of course, the counter question is, are people different in the northern of Sweden and the southern Sweden or not? No, they aren't. Not they're not. But we have to talk to people in the northern Sweden. So I think it also depends on, when implementing things, will people believe in this or not? So how much evidence-based research do you need to get people to accept the output?
Mm-hmm. And that differs of the per situation. The more so expensive the project, the bigger stakes, the more politics involved, right? And the more money you have, it sort of grows naturally.
Yeah, but I think that one important thing is that in the customer journey you make, and if you go into, on the Castellans we have a lot of pre-made templates. You see something that we call service insight evidence. I think it's really good to type out the insight evidence. Is this assumption based, or what evidence do we actually have? So it's also a question about the rate, but it's also a question to always make sure that the insights follow with the proof of the insight.
Yeah.
So don't forget that. That's a really good tip.
So if you're mapping the map, the journey, you can always add like, this is based on what we think we know, or this is based on research that we've done last year, or this is just a wild guess. You can always add that to the information in the map, right?
Yes, which is really important to later on, to either do more research or to prove what's written there.
Hope this was helpful. Jeff, let us know. If not, we'll continue the conversation. So, Daniel, let's use 5 more minutes to go over the questions in the chat. So, Jason asked, is it better to base your customer journey map on people and their stories, or on generalized personas?
I'm not a huge friend of generalized personas because I think that the personas tend to be usually oversimplified to create kind of a story or a cartoonish, more made for internal marketing of who are we targeting. I think it's much better to work with customer profiles, where I think the personas usually could be too simplified. So the answer to this question, I would definitely to work with, true stories and real people's stories, and then try to find the least common similarities between those, don't stick too much to personas. I've seen so many cases where personas have taken organization on really the wrong track, because they create a wishful thinking about they simplify too much when it comes to personas.
Yeah. So, I see the use of personas. We are actually doing journeys based on a person that we have in mind, but it's always important that you sort of can base that person on real life stories, that you have quotes from actual customers who support what you're saying in this persona. It shouldn't be like a movie character, or like a comic figure character, right? It should be somebody that you can meet in the hall next door. It should be your neighbor. That's when the personas work, for me at least.
I agree. I totally agree. But that's usually not the case.
That's usually not the case.
No.
Yeah, maybe we need to do a course on how to create a good customer profile.
yeah, definitely.
All right.
That's a really good question.
Yeah, thanks Jason. Thanks, Jason. So we're going to wrap this up. This was the first live customer journey mapping Q&A Daniel and I did. It was really cool that a lot of people joined in eventually, Daniel. Yep. This recording will be up for a few days after this session, and then we'll take the most interesting bits and pieces out of it and try to share it also on other channels. If you're interested in where these questions are coming from, don't forget to check out The Perfect Map. I think if you will Google The Perfect Map, you will get it. And if not, you can find it through the Service Design Show. Daniel and I teach you there actually to build a customer journey map. We'll be back with another customer journey mapping Q&A session, I don't know, in a month or something like that, Daniel.
Yep.
We'll try to answer more questions because we're getting a lot of questions in the course. So that's cool. If you enjoyed this, don't forget to click the thumbs up button, and you can share the link to the recording in the coming week. Thanks, Daniel.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks, Mark.
All right.
And thank to all the participants.
Yeah, thanks for hanging out in the chat with us.
Yeah.
Now we need to find the finish button, the end button, and it should be here. So saying goodbye to everyone and see you soon.
Yeah. Bye bye.